Hi, welcome to Nutrition in the Kitchen. I'm Kathleen and I'm a nutrition educator at Cornell Cooperative Extension in Broome County. And today we're at the commercial kitchen at the Regional Farmers Market in Broome County. Today we're going to make a recipe that features a seasonal item, and as you may see in front of me, it is apples. So there's a lot of varieties of apples, as you may well know. In New York State, we are the second largest producer of apples in the country. 25 billion, I think that's right, apples produced each year. So this is a great time to feature apples. And just so you know, at the market right now, there's pretty much one or two varieties, and that's because apples ripen at different times. So for today's recipe, we're going to include a couple different colors of apples. In fact, it's called a colorful apple salad. And if you have heard the phrase, you eat with your eyes, have you ever heard that? No? Well, it's something that I say sometimes too, because what we do is if something looks appealing, it's more likely that we're going to want to eat it. It's more appetizing. So we have today red apples and green apples, and of course you want to keep the skin on because not only does it make it look pretty, but that's where a lot of the nutrition is. There's a lot of fiber, there's a lot of vitamins and minerals and things in apples, so we want to make sure we keep the skin on, and of course it does make it look pretty. So this is chopped up 3 apples of each color. We have just about a teaspoon of cinnamon, maybe a little bit more, because you know, recipes are kind of a blueprint, and so you decide how much you want to put in. I would recommend just putting in that 1 teaspoon first and then deciding if you want to have more. You can always add more. So this is 1 cup of vanilla yogurt, 1 cup of raisins, and 1 cup, half a cup of the craisins or dried cranberries. So these two, once you put them in with the yogurt and the apples, you'll start to see the bright colors of it. But you'll notice not only is it the colors that are different, but the flavors are different. Your green apple is a more tart, crisp sort of apple. The red one is a little bit sweeter, so you get the combination of those 2 flavors. And the same thing with the raisins. They're definitely a sweeter dried fruit than the dried cranberries are. And before I start chopping up apples a little bit, I want to just mention some of those apple varieties that are coming into season now. This one here is a Honeycrisp apple. So you can see it has a round shape to it and is pretty firm. And this kind of apple was developed to be especially good for like kids' lunch boxes because once you cut it, it doesn't brown quickly. It stays in its natural color a lot longer. Then there's also Red Delicious, and you'll notice Red Delicious has that funny shape to it. It's an unusual shape, very different than the round one here. So these 2 are different types of apples. And then one other one I wanted to show you that I'm not using in today is the Macintosh, and that's a very common apple that we have in New York State, used a lot in snacks or in pies. So those are the 3 that I'm not using today. And then I wanted to show you what I have is Ginger Gold. And then this is a Gala apple. So those are the apples that we've cut up here. So when you cut your apple, you can save yourself a lot of time by using an apple slicer. So there's a couple different ones. This one you'll see is a little bit bigger, so it can go over those really large apples. For instance, this one. And this would not really fit well over the large apple. So that's why it's nice to have the bigger one if you can get it. But what's really great about these is not only does it slice it, but it cores the apple at the same time. So I'm just going to show you how that works. You just press down on it like this. And there you go. This is wonderful if you have snacking, like if you want to snack and have apples to dip and that sort of thing. Great for kids, okay? And it speeds up the process of what you're doing because then all you have to do is hold your apple like that. Oh, and it smells great. Maybe slice that in half, and then we're just going to cut it into chunks. And you decide, again, how big you want those chunks to be. You can have them this large, or you can chop it much smaller. So you decide on what your preference is. I tend to make things kind of chunky. But for young kids, it would be really smart to make them very small. And also for older adults who might have problems with chewing, if you make them really tiny, you can even go much smaller than that, like a really small dice, like that. Okay, so I just want to show you that. And also, if you're just cutting the apple yourself, and I'm going to do this real quickly, you might just cut it in half and then into a quarter. And I take the core out by just going like this. Okay, and then cut it into slices and then into the dice. So anyway, if you don't have the special device, you can still do it pretty easily. Okay, so I'm just going to move some of this aside. And the first thing I'm going to do actually is stir the cinnamon into the yogurt. And that way you get like a really good blend of it. It's not all like pockets of cinnamon. And you get an even flavor like throughout the yogurt. Yogurt is a great food because there's a lot of protein in it. There's calcium, there's vitamin D. It helps to keep you full by having those elements in there. And then now I'm going to just put everything else together. We'll have our big bowl, and we'll put the green apples in. And if you want to help yourself a little bit, you can do a little bit like that. So you kind of combine them already a little. And already you can see how pretty that is, the green and the red together. And then we'll put in the raisins and the cranberries. And I'm just going to quick stir that around a little bit just so that that's mixed up. Apples also are a wonderful fruit because they are very high in fiber and vitamins and a lot of water, actually, so they're a great thing to eat if you're dieting. It helps to keep you full. So now we're just going to put the yogurt in. Yeah, like a medium apple only has like 52 calories, so it's a great snack to have even in between your meals, keep you satisfied, keep that blood sugar level at a good rate. So now we're just going to stir all this in. Also, I'm going to mention the yogurt is not expensive. You can buy a big container of yogurt for like less than $2. So, and again, you can choose if you want to use Greek yogurt, you can. I've just used a regular plain yogurt for this. What I'm doing here is called folding. You go underneath and you turn it over, so that helps keep the mix on it. Helps kind of put it, you know, that yogurt all over all of it. So this is basically it. You can have, I'm going to put it in a little bowl here. I'll use one of these. You can either eat it right away, or you can choose to put it in the fridge and have it there for overnight. This is good probably for 2 or 3 days in the fridge. So this is a wonderful side for some rich meats like pork or chicken or something. You can have this as a side. This is also great for breakfast. If you mix this with like cooked quinoa or cooked rice and have this with it, it's just really delicious and filling. So here is your colorful apple salad with the cranberries and the raisins and the different color of apples. And I encourage you to check out the Broome County Regional Farmers Market for your apples because we are open every Saturday from 9 to 1. And as I said, new varieties of apples are coming out every single week. So make it a point to come on down and check them out. Thanks so much for joining us for Nutrition in the Kitchen.